A food desert to me is done naturally. Food apartheid is when it's deliberately done, and I really believe that. I think they deliberately, set us up where we don't have the things we need in our community. We have a lot of gas stations and convenience stores, like stuff that sell alcohol and things of that nature. And when you go in these gas stations, you might be lucky and find some bananas by the cash register, but that's it. So I wanted to do something about it, and I did.
This is where it all begins. So say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, creators, and disruptors who are changing the way that business happens. My name is Tyler Kelly. I'm here with my co-host, Leanne Buchanan.
Hey, everybody.
And today's a really special day. We're coming to you from the Slam Agency headquarters in St. Louis, and we are joined by a very special person, Mr. Tyrean Lewis, also known as Heru.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Heru, I'm super excited for this conversation. One, because as we were jamming off camera, I got to learn a little bit more about you. So we're going to dive into your resume and your accolades, but we want to get to know who you are first. Sound cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
So for those that don't know you, you are the founder and CEO of Heru Urban Farming, and you're a fourth generation farmer, and you are recently a newest member of the first Black and Latinx accelerator in this part of the country. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So I want to start off by asking you about your name, because the name means so much. So talk to us about.
Yes. So my spiritual name is Heru Dejeti Adeleke. That means the crown triumphs through the strength of a king. I received that name back in 2018. Yeah, so yeah, it was actually a ceremony, and so I'm spiritual, and so yeah, that's where I got my name from.
And when you got your new name that you go by now, how did your perspective change in terms of your capacity to maybe grow and build and do the things you're doing now?
Well, it gave me empowerment, actually, because that's how I basically put my name on my business, because Heru by itself means King Liberator. So when I got that perspective, and I've always been a person that uplift people and always help people, especially my background in education, because I used to be a PE teacher and a health teacher. So yeah, it just gave me more empowerment and more confidence to continue to do what I do.
So why farming? What about the earth draws you? Why do you love it?
Man, so like I say, I am a fourth generational farmer, like you mentioned earlier. My great uncle, Minor Washington, back in the 1950s, he created my first black co-op. So it had over, I think I want to say like 20 farmers, I believe, and they purchased 28 acres, and it was growing tomatoes. That's what he did. And it's always been something special to me. And I really got into this business because just one day I wanted some fresh produce. So this is back 2018, and I didn't want to drive all the way down to the Soulard Market, which is probably about probably like 6-7 miles away, probably more. So I went to the Snooks on Union, right by my neighborhood. I went there. I didn't like what I seen. So then I went to the Snooks on Linden. It was a little better. It was a better neighborhood, but not quite what I expected. So I went to an even better neighborhood. So I went further out. So I went to the one in Clayton, and that was awesome. I mean, they had fresh produce everywhere. So I said, you know what? Let me take it one more step. So I went out to West County, and I went out there, and I couldn't believe that was Snooks. I mean, they had people cooking sushi. They had a winery in there. They had an abundance of fresh produce. So I told myself, man, why doesn't my community look like this? So I wanted to do something about it, and I did. So that's basically what I did.
And you mentioned that you had the luxury to drive, but not everyone
there you go.
has that luxury.
Yeah, so there are over 700,000 people in the city of St. Louis don't have access to food within a half mile of their neighborhood. So yeah, and a lot of people don't even have transportation to do that. So that's a good point. I had the luxury to drive. I just wanted to. I just didn't feel like it. So that's a problem.
So you talk a lot about this idea of food apartheid. Tell me what that means.
All right. So I know a lot of people heard of food deserts. So food desert to me is done naturally. Food apartheid is when it's deliberately done. you know, and I really believe that. I think they deliberately, you know, set us up where we don't have the things we need in our community, you know, and we have a lot of gas stations and convenience stores, like, you know, stuff that sell alcohol and things of that nature. And when you go in these gas stations, you might be lucky and find some bananas by the cash register, but that's it. So yeah, and I wanted to give, actually got the term from someone, her name is Karen Washington. She's the co-founder of Rise and Root Farm, as well as the co-founder of Bugs, which means Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers. And they do a conference every year in October. And she the one that created that term.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about access, that's a really loaded term in certain communities. And if you look at the history of a lot of communities, redlining is what kept people in places and kept other folks out of communities. And we're in a moment right now in the United States history where we're confronting systemic marginalization and oppression. Talk to us about your movement as a Black urban farmer and what that means in the larger scheme of the collective.
Wow. To me, it just means opportunity. It gives people a chance to not only get locally grown fresh produce, also give people a sense of you can do it. You know, like in this area, I only know 2 other Black farmers on. You know, there's other people that got gardens in their backyard, so I don't want to disregard them. But there's not that many people that actually doing that, and that's really what we started doing. I mean, when we came over, we were sharecroppers, you know, and we taught people how to farm. And then over the years and over the decades, it kind of got away from us, you know. And especially, I believe my goal is to bring economic empowerment too. You know, create jobs for people. I have 1 full-time worker and 1 part-time worker, and they're from my community. And yeah, I just think I'm an inspiration. I try to be.
So I want to understand, how does it actually work, right? Like what is the setup? How does it all work?
Yeah, so like I said, when I started in 2018, I just wanted to grow food, basically. So it was an open plot across the street from my house, and I stay on Maffitt, which is on the west side of St. Louis. So I was down there, I was looking across the street, and I saw open field. And the key thing I want to say is manifestation. So I looked at it, I sat on my porch, I visualized it. I mean, I visualized it to the minute details, like how the wind feels going through my hair on my arm, the smell of flowers, the bees, everything like that. And I thought about it, and I sat on it. I actually had the vision in 2017. I sat on it for like a year. I was like, I don't know what to do, you know, but I just came up with Brandon Bosley. He's the alderman of the 3rd Ward, and he told me about a garden lease. And you know, in the city of St. Louis, you can rent land, lease it as long as you're growing food. It's for 5 years for $5. So I said, all right, cool. Because at first I was like, I don't have any money. How do I start this? Like, okay, I did that. I just had a vision. So I had 2 raised beds at first. That's all I had. And I was just growing food. So people was walking down the street. They was asking me questions like, yeah, well, so what you growing? You know, I'm like, okay. Cool. So people started to help me. So I started expanding it. So that first year was just basically a community garden. You know, I would just let people get food when they ask me or whatever. Or if the youth come by, like, well, if you chip in and help, then you can get some food. So I was doing things like that. So that year went by. So the second year came around, and I had a high demand, but I didn't have the supply. So I just had, you know what? I could turn this to a business, you know? So that's what I did. I just started growing more foods. I was doing my research. I took permaculture classes. I took herbalism classes. I started networking, talking to other farmers. I was able to write grants. I wrote my own grants. It was crazy because I was looking for grant writers. And I was like, man, I need to find grant writers. So my girlfriend, she inspired me. She was like, well, you got a master's degree. I think you could write a grant. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I think I can. So my first grant I ever wrote, I got, and that's from the Boston Foundation. It's like, wow. So that gave me a lot of confidence. So, you know, so I started writing more. Now, then my second one, I didn't get, but I still had that confidence. So I wrote another one, and I got my second was from St. Louis Philanthropic Organization. I got that grant. So I started getting more grants. So my record is 4 out of 8, so I'm 50%. so that's cool. And then, you know, the Weed Power program helped me out a lot. So I started doing things like that. So in 2019, let me backtrack. So when I first started my community garden, it was nonprofit. I don't have a 501c3 though, it's just nonprofit. So when I wanted to create a business, I went on and I officially became a business in November 2019. So when I did that, I went for profit, and then so I was able to get 2.5 acres written land from David Bowen. So it's Bowen Farm. He's also an African American farmer as well. So he purchased 13 acres. So I'm renting 2.5 acres from him. So we basically work side by side, 2 black farmers that were right in the heart of North County, St. Louis. So yeah,
That's amazing. You mentioned the We Power Accelerator.
Yes.
And you're one of, and you are in the first cohort. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience.
Wow. So Tasha Phoenix sent me an email about We Power, and she's on the board of FEEB. That's Food Equity Advisory Board, and she also a part of MCE. I think that stands for Missouri Coalition of the Environment. So so she told me about We Power. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead, and I saw it. It was a program. I was like, okay, this first time entrepreneurs for Black and Latino. I'm like, okay, that's me. So let me go ahead and apply for it. So I did, and I got it. I mean, we went through certain different interviews for the interviewing processes, and man, that was like a blessing to me because for me, my first entrepreneur, is just certain things I didn't know. So it just made me realize some things like how to actually structure your business, how to market, how to do your books and tax information, all that government stuff you got to figure out. And I wouldn't have no idea about it. I would probably have found out later on. So excuse me. So that was a big experience for me, and just give you a confidence of getting your pitch deck together and how to present to people, and just gave me the confidence and the tools I need to proceed in my business.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into the urban farming space?
Wow. Just do it. I mean, we need more people to farm in urban. I think it's important because, like I say, I know St. Louis, I'm here, but I know all across the country there's other in the neighborhoods and communities that's suffering through food apartheid. And my goal is so we don't have to talk about that word anymore. So advice I would do is just, of course, do your research, talk to family members. Everybody have family members that grew something. Even before I had that plot, I would. Prior to that, I was growing tomatoes and peppers in my backyard. Everybody has a grandma or somebody that used to grow something, and just and grow what you like to eat. It's easier to grow stuff that you eat than just growing stuff. So yeah, and you can always reach out to me too. I'll help you.
So I'm curious. The generational aspect of your farming experience really resonates with me. What's your vision for where this goes? Where do you want this business, this experience to take you?
Wow, I want to be like the next Prairie Farms, big like that. So, like right now, I'm looking into purchasing cattle, just to sell, the meat from it, the beef from it. But eventually down the line, I want to have, acres, a homestead would be perfect for me to have a homestead. So a homestead is basically having your home on your land. I'm just asking for 10 acres, something like that. But I would love to just keep expanding and eventually move on to cattle, move on to chickens, and just do things like that.
You know what time it is? Now, we didn't prepare you in advance, but these cards that we were talking about before the show are part of what we call the lightning round.
Surprise!
Where we're going to just quick fire questions and answers.
Let's do it.
All right.
Should I start?
Go for it.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So who are your heroes?
Oh, man, my heroes, man. So my heroes is first and foremost my parents, My parents, my heroes, because they it was kind of I was a typical inner city family, sometimes struggling, trying to make it, and they did everything they can, for me to succeed. Michael Jordan, and not as a person, just his drive. When I was a kid, I always watch him, man. He always, he was always ready for the competition. He worked hard. He always was playing. And just I like his competitiveness. So yeah.
What do you spend too much time doing?
Thinking about food and growing food. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but yeah.
What are you working towards that you could use some help with?
Oh, man. I'm getting better at it, allowing people to help me, I guess. I always was a do-it-yourself type of guy, not want to ask for help all the time. Like, I can do it. It's the pride thing. I think a lot of men has a problem with ego and pride. So, but I'm getting better at it, and I think I'm improving all the time. So,
what was your childhood dream?
Believe it or not, I wrote a paper in second grade. I said I was gonna be the first black president.
Ooh, okay.
I did say that, yeah. So I said a lot of other things after that, but yeah.
You know, it's funny. I just finished a book called The Last Lecture, which is about kind of your childhood dreams, and you never know. Somehow they may come true. Maybe president, maybe in the White House, close enough.
I don't know about politics, but yeah.
So, if money was not an issue, how would you spend your time?
Man, money was an issue. Be honest with you, first and foremost, it wasn't an issue. I make sure, I say my prairie farm dreams came true. So I have a big, massive farm with 100+ acres, everything running smoothly. I have it so smooth, I don't have to even touch it. You know, I can just sit back and oversee it. But I'd rather be kicked back on the island somewhere, relaxing with my family, you know, drinking some margaritas or something and just relaxing.
What do you dream of achieving one day?
Man, I just want to. That's a good question. I just want to achieve just success, and I'm not saying I'm not successful now, but I just want to feel like it's not a struggle anymore. It seems like you're always trying to climb a hill sometimes. So success to me is just. I know there's always gonna be worries. It's life, but you know, just want to be comfortable and just relax and be like, okay, and I can just sit back and oversee my kids doing good, everybody doing good around me, and that's success to me.
If you could put 3 items in a time capsule and bury it in the ground for 100 years, what would you put inside?
Whew, my goodness. Okay. I'm trying to think smart here. Okay. I would think I'll put a honey bun, 'cause that's my favorite snack.
Will that last that long?
A picture of my family and a cell phone.
Okay.
If I had time to think, I might say something else, but yeah, that's what it is.
This has been an amazing conversation. Hey, thank you. How can people get in touch with you, the website, social media, all that good stuff?
All right. Well, my website is HeruUrbanFarming.com. That's HeruUrbanFarming.com. My social media handles is Heru Urban Farming as well. And yeah.
This has been great. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams